I just like put my hand up and I yelled. I was like, "Hello, everyone. If you wouldn't mind, I'm about to propose to the love of my life." Right? And like yelled it. And she turned around. She's like, "What are you doing?"
You guys had some dads, man. You guys had some dads with some to prove.
Yeah, for sure. You know, they're not all great stories like that, Mike. But you know,
They also liked fighting.
Writing a book, in my experience, is 20% fun, 80% grind, and that 80% sucks. That 80% is a real freaking grind. It's just that 20% makes it worth it. That 20% is so awesome that you're willing to tolerate the 80%. And I think that's where a lot of people fall off.
all right, hello and welcome to the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle. He's JDub Justin Richardson. And on the show today, we have the author of the new novel, They're Not Here to Save Us. We'll have links in the description of this episode where this novel can be purchased. Dude, I'll tell you, it's a post-apocalyptic novel with a little bit of a twist. He explains it really well on the show, but dude, Mike was awesome, man. I met this guy through a former guest of the show, friend of the show, and the best barber in the world, Billy the Bob and Nichols. And dude, Billy Biceps, Billy Bob Rule. Dude, and it was really like how serendipitous was this, like that we were able to get this guy on the show and he just nailed it. Such a good time, really a lot of fun. Justin, what do you think?
The book's like actual story sounds dope. And
Yeah.
I'm not much of a reader, but it's got me a little hooked. I'm a little hooked.
This is, oh dude, I'm so psyched. Like when he's talking about it and like the story itself, and like dude, he sold the story but as much as he sold the story, like it was just like so like cool. Like I'm like really interested in it.
It's a cool concept. He seems like a good guy. He likes Hamburger Helper. Like I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah, there's not, I mean, once you find that out about a guy, there's not much not to love. And like
it's a solid testament of like who a man is. Like it's how he feels about Hamburger Helper. Because if you're above Hamburger Helper, like I don't judge you for that. It's not your fault. It's just how you were raised. But like, your heart.
Well, you're not a good person.
Nah, you need ground beef and like a full cup of milk and some like dry hard pasta.
For sure.
Just to set you right.
For sure. Yeah, you're not wrong there. But no, really good stuff. So like we said in the description of this episode, we'll have a link to where you can purchase this book. It's They're Not Here to Save Us by MP Kid. Without any further ado, I'm Matt Lavelle. He's JDub Justin Richardson. Our guest today is the one and only MP Kid. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by JDub Justin Richardson. Our guest today is the author of the book They're Not Here to Save Us, the one and only MP Kid. The book is available on Amazon and BarnesandNobles.com. We'll have a link in the description of this episode where you can follow the author, MP Kid, and find his works. Very good to have you on, MP Kid. Mike, how are you, sir?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Doing good. Doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Very nice. Awesome. So I want to get it started right away. I want to get a little backstory. So right now, from what I understand, right, They're Not Here to Save Us is a post-apocalyptic book, right? That's the genre we're looking at. Can you give us a little rundown of the inspiration for this? And then what are we looking for in this book? What do we got coming at us, man? Super excited. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So They're Not Here to Save Us is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi, and it takes place in a world after the power's been shut out and everyone's kind of living in the woods. Think Walking Dead, everyone's just trying to survive. And the main character is a guy who gets recruited by these creatures to help save the world. And when they recruit him, they say, we're going to set you up with some powers and some abilities, and we're going to give you a domain to take care of and run. And for him and for a lot of people, it's considered a great honor. So it's kind of like, it's not a matter of whether or not you accept. Of course you accept. This is it. And on his way to being recruited, he finds out that these creatures aren't exactly who they say they are. So he's got to choose between, is he going to answer the call? Is he going to, level up and become this great hero or is he going to, look under the curtain and see if there's more to it than that, and be part of a resistance? So
Oh,
yeah, yeah, that's the idea, and the inspiration behind it, comic books, really.
yeah,
It's comic
yeah,
books, man. I grew up on them, and I mean, I'd say I grew up on them. I'm still reading them. I love comic books, and
yeah.
for me, the greatest question, I love throwing a question out to everybody, is like, if there was some big being in the sky who was giving out powers, what would your power be?
Great
And
question.
yeah. Speaking of which, Matt, what would your power be?
Man. Well, okay, so if I'm able to do like the mind manipulation, will I be able to fly with that as well? Right? Like, you know how Professor X can
Like
move his chair.
telekinesis style? Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, like I hypothetically I could fly and stuff like that. I don't know. Telekinesis is one. Like I really liked Rogue's powers. She kind of had like a bunch of them. And then there was this one, I forget which forget where I saw it, but there was like one where like there was one power where they could absorb other people's powers, right? But
Yeah,
it would kill them.
Relying
that
on
was
other people having power.
that was Rogue, I think. Rogue did that. And
Oh,
yeah,
she would
you're
steal.
relying.
Okay, yeah. I am
So
relying on the people having powers, but I do like the telekinesis one where I can like move stuff
Yeah.
with my mind and
And then you can
myself
move
and fly.
yourself with your mind. Yeah.
Right, right, right. I was kind of, I mean, I've been watching the show Invincible lately, the anime show on Prime. Really good.
great show.
But
Yep.
yeah, there is like, I guess it's like whatever the Superman kind of powers would be.
Oh,
You know what I
crazy
mean?
healing factor.
Yeah.
Healing, like super fast, super strong, can fly. They don't have the laser in the eye gimmick. I will take that if it's on the table, but
Well,
but
Superman has
no,
Yeah,
I
cook,
mean,
everything.
cook a hot
Superman has
pocket or something.
cold breath,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
X-ray vision. Superman has literally everything.
Everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cold breath, X-ray
You know what's
vision.
crazy? It's like if you go back, they're like, "You're faster than a speeding bullet or a speeding locomotive," and like right now, it'd be like, "He's faster than 5G Wi-Fi." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, yeah. Justin, what about you? You got a power?
I mean, Nightcrawler's power would be so fun to be able to like
Really?
bamf into like just be able to
Bamf.
poof, poof,
Yep.
poof.
That's my
Is
go-to.
that the technical term?
The
Bam.
technical term is bamf. I believe it's spelled BAMF.
That is
Bam.
correct. Well done.
And
Yeah.
there's two
Wow.
thoughts of theory. There's the one where that Nightcrawler can bamf anywhere he can like logically see or picture in his mind.
Okay.
Or there's another one where he bamfs into like a parallel universe, traverses that terrain, and then bamfs back into our universe.
It's kind of like a
Oh,
hopscotch. Yeah.
So he does have
I
to
like
travel,
that.
but time-wise in our universe, it is seconds, while he does actually have to do the physical distance movement in the other.
Man, that would be. I mean, but in the other universe, what it like? Is it the same terrain in the other
It's like
universe? It's just
purple. It just looks like our universe. It's
okay.
just
I was gonna
purple.
say like if you could go through like if you had the ability to portal through different multiverses and then end up, that's not a bad one either. But
Yeah.
yeah. What
For
about
me,
what
that's
about yeah? Go
for
ahead,
me,
Mike.
it's teleportation for sure. Like that movie Jumper. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Dude, I was just thinking about that. That's exactly
Banger
what. Yeah.
movie.
Oh,
Totally
dude,
underrated.
really good. I'm so upset like they
Yeah.
never made another one. Like that was a
Yeah.
really good. Hayden Christensen actually did a
Yep.
really good job. I think Jamie King might have been the other guy. Jamie Bell, I think is his name. He was also
Sure.
in Turn.
And
I think is the show.
they address
Yeah,
like the
that
jumping issue of like like bamfing into a wall. They're like you have to know where you want to
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
Yes. A
Yeah,
picture. Like they had tons of pictures, right?
My first thought with like the powers thing is like how quickly could I use powers to not have to live a normal life? Like
Mm.
I need a power that I don't need a job anymore for, and I need a power that will just like make my life awesome, like fun. And the teleportation thing is just that's got to be it. And like the hero part is just kind of like it's implied. No one's gonna mess with you if you can just in and out.
You
If you're
become a
just
volunteer fireman.
yeah,
Just be the best
yeah,
volunteer fireman there's ever been.
yep. I would charge people like like
For travel?
$1,000, yeah, to just teleport you. You get like
Yeah.
three bamps a year, and like for like 10 G's, and it's just like they just page me. And I'm just like, yep, poof, poof, take them where they got to go,
Dude,
and then they're out.
you could charge way more than that to be like,
Yeah, but
imagine too if you're like an illegal immigrant, you're like, I want to come to the U.S. Like, all right, $100,000, I'll get you
Now
there
you're
in
a
an hour.
coyote. You're
Yeah.
a coyote with
yeah,
superpowers.
yeah. I'm an equal opportunity Bamfer, so I want to make it affordable.
Transcontinental Bamfer.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, welcome to the Transcontinental.
So yeah, so this book here takes it a step further, takes that question a step further, and beyond that, like if there was somebody giving out powers, what would yours be? This takes it a step further and says, what are you willing to sacrifice, or what cost are you willing to pay to get those powers? Like for
I love
example, would you
that.
be willing to sell your soul? And that was the inspiration behind this story.
Love that, dude. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. You know what's crazy? Go ahead, Justin.
Sorry. I was gonna say, and the concept, like I don't know the story fully, but like the sell, like you have the spawn kind of concept of like, will you sell your soul, and then also the concept of like you're given these great powers from these people, and then do you decide to like who comes to this planet and like is sent here to destroy the planet, but decides not to. You have like that classic like comic book trope, if you will, like
Sure.
I was sent here to destroy this place, but it turns out I actually like it.
Silver Surfer style. Yeah.
Norman Rad.
Yeah. That was Stan Lee's favorite superhero that he created.
Silver Surfer?
Yep.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
really
like
Silver
that.
Surfer.
Nice.
Yeah, the
nice,
book
dude, that's exciting. So, okay. So, first off, great idea. Really like the sound of it. Really excited to get into it. You do, like we said, I mean, for everyone that listening knows, I'm an Audible guy. Big fan of the audio. Don't really read that good. Got expelled from 2 high schools. What are you gonna do? So, but no, I'm excited to get into your book. It sounds like something right up my alley. Love the post-apocalyptic theme. And then like the fight scenes, what did you I'm assuming there's like fight scenes and stuff in there.
Oh,
like
yeah.
how
Hell
do
yeah.
you write a fight scene? Kind of like what kind of choreography do you use? Do you use stuff from like experience or from like stuff you've read from other books or a little bit of both? How does that work?
It was a little bit of everything. It's when you're writing, it's a lot different than if you're watching a movie, if you're reading a book,
Yeah.
because if you're watching a movie, you get a scene that's fast paced, whereas in a book, it's inherently as fast as you make it. So you kind of have to do some tricks there. But I mean, there's a bunch of like really big action scenes there, a bunch of really good. It's a very fast paced story. You get about a quarter of the way in, and you're like, okay, this is something I want to read, and then you just go, it just moves. I mean, the one comment that I'm hearing from a lot of my readers is that they read it in like 48 hours, and
really?
Like, yeah, like it just moves. It's a fantasy world, right? So it's not the earth as we know it, and the rules are different. It's not just like, okay, here's a story about a guy living in suburban Philadelphia. This is a whole new world. So as a reader, you gotta kind of get your bearings. You have to kind of understand the terrain a little bit, and as with all fantasy stories, I think. And what I really tried to do with this story is I wanted to do that stuff as quickly as I can so that we can move. It was like, all right, because I don't want to slow down. I don't want to spend chapters talking about the trees or the settings. No disrespect to Tolkien, but that's just not my style. I wanted to
You've seen one tree, you've seen them all.
Yeah, I wanted to move, and that's what the story was. So
dude,
the
I
action,
love that.
Yeah, action fight scenes and all that stuff. It was pretty much in league with the rest of the story.
Nice, dude. I mean, I'm a big fan. I love that. There's another author, we'll shout out. I'm a big fan. His name's Jonathan French, and dude, he's kind of like one of those things I really like is like you start fast, but like people don't realize. I think you can use like action sometimes as a great like character building as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People think you need like tons of backstory and intrigue and all that stuff. It's like you can get that through like a fight scene. Like if you have one guy, right, who's out, like he's out to protect his friends and like things like you get a lot of what his character is by like through loyalty and commitment and things like that. Like you can get that out of a character through a fight scene because he's out there trying to save his friends, protect his friends. You have another person that they can't control and they go off the edge. Then you have what I mean? Like there's a bunch of different things you can get through like high action or movement, and you don't have to sit around and talk about your feelings and all that BS. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm sure there's plenty of that type of character development. I'm not saying, I don't want to discredit any of that, but I'm saying, like if you want to keep it moving, keep people engaged, especially now in this, in the world we're living in, you need to keep people in it and people people are
Sure.
pumped about it, man, that's awesome, dude. I love that. I love that idea of like keeping it going, keeping it moving, making things happen. That's fun. So, okay, how long did it take you to write the book, and where, how did you like approach a publicist or anything like that?
So,
Publisher, I should say.
yeah. So the process for me was definitely unique to me, I think. I set out to write this book in the very beginning of 2020, January 2020. COVID wasn't even a thing yet, at
Love it.
least not for us. So I set out to write, and guys, I'll tell you, man, if I could fill this, if I could put in this room I'm sitting in all the failed starts of books and projects that I had. If I printed them all out, I'd fill the room. It's just it's so many attempts. This one was one.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of authors will tell you something similar.
Wait. You're saying you had so many like you're saying like 100 pages of something, and you're like, I can't
Easy.
do this, and you're like, this just isn't gonna work. I'm done, right? And you're
It
like, or would you take that and be like, you know what? I like some of this, but I'm kind of lost here. I'm just gonna move on, take some of the things I like from this, and move on to something else.
I think just like a basketball player has nights of practice and shooting hoops or
Yeah,
games lost in the regular season.
yeah,
Yeah, I have projects that I didn't see through, and I learned a little bit about myself. I learned a little bit about my writing process every time. And what I realized was that if I was going to see a project through, if I was going to see this through all the way, I needed to be 100% committed from the beginning to the end and make that my number one priority. It's interesting
okay,
because there's a couple schools of thought as far as writing is concerned. There's a lot of writers, and I also don't think there's one right way, but there's a lot of writers who will tell you to have I don't want to call it a passive relationship, but kind of a more easygoing relationship with their writing. They'll tell you, sometimes the inspiration's not there. Sometimes you just don't have it in you to write, and sometimes you just need to sit and read or go for a walk rather than write. And that does
yeah,
work for some people. For me, I'm a very goal-driven person. I'm a very self-motivated person. I'm a very competitive person. So for me, it was like I had that voice in my head that said, "You're going to start this, and you're going to go, and you're going to
yeah,
go, and you're going to
yeah,
go, and that's it. You're not going to do anything else until you're done." So I
yeah.
wrote the rough draft to this story between the 1st of January of 2020 and I think the day I wrote the last word in the rough draft was like March 12th. So 2.5 months I wrote this book. And to kind of give you an idea, it's a decent sized book. It's 400 some pages. The
Yeah.
original draft was a lot bigger. So I was writing I was averaging like 5,000 words a day, which is crazy. Absolutely
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, it's stupid. I have not been able to hit those numbers since. But that's what I was doing. So I wrote the rough draft in 2.5 months, put it down for a little while, and from there, that was my first goal, was to finish it, to write the end. I did that, and then my goal from there was, all right, I finished this. Let's clean it up as best I can and get it in the hands of an editor, a professional editor, who could look at it and say, all right, Mike, this is a good start. This is what you're missing. This is why this story isn't going to cut it. Maybe toss this one out, go take a class in prose or whatever, but it was a good start. This is what you need to work on. So I cleaned it up, and cleaned it up, spent a couple months cleaning it up. I gave it to a couple friends to read, who sent it back to me and gave me notes. Shout out to Pam, Sam, and Adam. You guys are awesome. They gave me some notes. I cleaned it up from there, sent it to a professional editor, and he did. He gave me some notes. He said, Mike, this is an issue. You might want to look into this. But at the end of it, he said, Mike, this is a good story and it deserves to be published. So that's when I knew I had something.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. And from there I kept on trucking. I kept on going, and that was the process. For me, it's I can't wait. I can't sit around and wait to be motivated. I need
Hmm.
to do it. And I guess
Hmm.
that's kind of motivation is in its own right, but I don't know. It's something I learned about myself, is that, you gotta go, and you gotta put pen to paper, and you gotta work at it, and you gotta care
Hmm.
about it. I think an important thing too is, when you're telling these story, and they're not here to save us, there's several different storylines going on at once with several different characters that as a reader you're really invested in. And
Yeah.
to really kind of have your finger on that pulse, you need to be on it. You can't be taking weeks off or even days off away from this story, because you're gonna have to come back and, okay, where was I and where was this character and what kind of
Oh
mood is this
yeah.
person in? You got to be
Yeah.
invested. You have to you have to really be kind of living and breathing the story. And for me, as far as my writing has gone, that's the only way that I find that works.
Yeah, dude, that's incredible. So I want to say this, right? And this is something that So I want to let's shout out our boy real quick. Fan of the show, listener of the show, former guest of the show, the one and only Bad Baba himself, Billy the Bobbin Nichols, Billy Biceps, Billy Baba Rule,
Bill.
that Bad Bill. So I went to get my haircut by Bill one day. Mike legit had just gotten his haircut before I did, right? And I'm sitting there talking to Bill, talking about like people I've had on the show and how the show is going. FYI, Bill did come up with the name for the show. I don't know if he told you
No
that, Mike.
kidding. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was his idea. The name was his idea, but I mean, it's already copyrighted, Bill. So tough shit, buddy. But either way, so Bill told me about Mike, and the first thing that came to mind for me was this: is that and me and Bill have talked about this, is that there's so many people out there that say that they are doing something or they're gonna do something, and it's all BS and nothing comes from it. I absolutely love and respect the fact that you said you were gonna do something and you did it. You know what I mean? Like, you said you were gonna write a book. You knew, like, there's so many people out there. Like, there's some people that you love and love you still, that didn't want you to write the book because they would be
Sure.
envious of you, and it comes from a place of jealousy. Dude, we get the same stuff here at the show. I remember when I was fighting and stuff, like, at first I was telling people about it, and I really, like, wanted to, it's more of a way of talking myself into making sure that I did it, because I had to back up what I said, right? Like, there was a lot of stuff like that. So for you to be able to stick by your laurels and see this through to the end, it takes a ton of commitment and perseverance, a lot of character. You should be very proud of that, man. And it's
Hey,
awesome
thanks.
no, of course, man. And it's awesome that you were able to get this done and you have a published book. This is something you can take with you forever. And it's a cool experience to see what happens when you totally commit yourself to something. So, but that being said, part of the process, right? Like, did you think when you're writing 5,000 words a day, like the fact that you said you haven't been able to commit to that since then, is it partially because, like, dude, you're burning yourself the hell out, right? Like 5,000 a day.
Yeah, how many pages?
That's insanity, is what it is. Justin, if you read 5,000 words, your freaking balls would explode. All right,
the most words I'd.
Yeah,
it'd be my record number of words in a day.
It has to average like 100 pages, right? 5,000 words.
Nah, it's not quite
like
that much.
10?
Yeah, about that, somewhere around there.
10
pages? 500 words a page. Remember, like, writing papers?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, okay. I mean, dude, come on. Expelled from 2 high schools, guys.
But the testament, like you said, which
literally
is
can't tell you
interesting.
last time I did a report. Go ahead, Justin.
How, like, you got through like 25% of or 50% of so many different projects. Like, former guest of the show, Mickey Batts, he's a writer, and I've read like 2 different books he's written that he's never finished, but they're like 25%. And I was like, this is good. And then I never hear from him again. I get, like, he sent me something else. It's like 18% done. I'm like, this is good. I like this. So, like, try and try again. And then you finally sit down and just, if you knock it all out and then just start whittling it and perfecting it, and like, it's like making a sword. You like, steel, but you got to get that original, you got to get it out.
That's awesome. Well, like, I don't know about you guys. When I was a kid, I played my action figures all the time.
Dude,
and like,
all the time. Dude, and Army Men.
Hell yeah.
Legos.
Yeah,
dude, how awesome was it? I was a big fan of, like, setting up, like, making like a like a Lego thing out of like all the Legos I had, mix and matching, maybe a boat here, a castle there, you know what I mean? And then throwing all that together, maybe get a GI Joe, maybe a couple Army Men. Let's go.
Take
like,
your sister's Barbie.
I slept with her, but either way, no big deal. It was
Barbie.
Barbara. It was Barbara to me.
Yeah, right. The Barbie.
You slept with the Barbie.
Yeah. No, of course. It was more of me and Ken. But either way, But okay, so like you're saying, you're playing with action like in your mind. Like, how many times have you set up this scenario in your mind of like you're doing all that shit, and then there's a storyline behind it? Is that kind of your thought, Mike?
Well, I was just gonna say that like you create these worlds as a kid when you're using your imagination. The ending is not nearly as important as it is when you're writing. And you know, you create, you kind of like you build the sandbox, right? You have all these
Yeah.
characters, and you have your toys in there, and you're setting this up, and he's the king of this, and this guy can shoot fire, and you got to make it make sense at the end. And that's the challenge. You know, you get to that point,
Yeah.
20%, 75% done, and then you're like, okay, I got to bring this home. And so maybe you're 75% done in terms of like word count, but in terms of like the difficulty of the story, it's like you've been just kind of scratching the surface. Bringing it home is
Mm.
that's where it's at, man. That's the juice right there. And you know, for me, it was like, you know, it was like I came out on the other end of that thing, you know, beaten and bloody, and just had my butt
Yeah.
kicked from just kind of like persevering. You know, just kind of
Yeah.
like that image of that person like fighting against the wind to just keep walking forward. And it
Yeah.
was like, I just want to get to where I'm going, and then
Yep.
from there I can stop and look back and see what kind of mess I left.
Yeah.
And I was just lucky the mess wasn't that bad. The mess was worth cleaning up.
I'll say this. So in boxing, right, there's the one thing like that they'll tell you when you're in training, right? And I tell all the guys this. I was like, the last round isn't the tough round. It's like one of the easiest rounds, right? Like the toughest rounds are the middle rounds. When you're in, you know, say if it's a 10 rounder, if you're in
Yeah,
round 5, 6, and 7, because you're still in the middle of it. You've been through a lot, but you still have a lot left, right? So when you're
yeah,
writing this book, you've been through so much, right? And you're killing yourself and you're going through all this and you're putting in all this work, but then you still have so much mountain to climb that's where the giving up happens a lot in those middle rounds, right? But the fact
sure.
that, like you're saying, you battled through, you made it to the championship rounds, and that's where you came out. Like when you're towards the end, you're like, I've made it this far. There's no stopping. You know what I mean? Like by the time you
Exactly.
get there, by the time you put yourself through all that, and then you're able to survive and come out on the other end, you know, guns blazing, dude. Like how great of a feeling was that when you're like towards like you're towards the end of the book and you're like, I know I got something hot here. Like, what's that feeling like?
It's unreal. It there's no way to describe it. It's great just because, I mean, like I said, man, I'm still reading comic books. I never grew
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
and being able to tell a story that people want to hear and want to read.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's not growing up paying off right there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's incredibly rewarding. I mean, there are
Yeah,
people walking around with just, you know, printed version of my imagination. That's crazy to me. That's crazy
unbelievable,
to me. And
unbelievable.
it's awesome. It's awesome. I'll tell you what, when I finished writing the rough draft, and I mean, it's so long ago, but it's funny. I finished writing the rough draft. Two funny things about it. The first thing was I was on like a Facebook group for encouraging aspiring writers. And
Mm-hmm.
if you know anything about Facebook comments or social media comments, is that they're always very nice all the time.
Oh yeah,
So
no, dude, and they're
yeah,
so like, if you want a credible source, you go to your YouTube comments, you go to your
yeah,
social media comments for a credible, reliable source with incredible feedback.
yeah, yep.
Everybody
It's
knows
always
this.
constructive. It's always really
Yeah,
nice.
and it's exact like they tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah. So I go on, and again, it's like a bunch of like-minded people writing, and
Yeah,
I just typed in little status update in the group, and I said, I just finished my rough draft. And I'm just expecting love, you know,
right,
just being like,
right.
I climbed the mountain. But it was
Yeah,
just everybody being like, you're just getting started.
yeah,
And it was
yeah,
like, damn, guys, can I just enjoy this? But
yeah,
they were absolutely right. I was just getting started. The other thing about it, when I wrote my rough draft, I was living by myself, and I called my boy over. I was like, "Yo, dude, do you want to come over and grab a drink with me? I'm kind of celebrating." So he came over, and we're sitting there sharing some whiskey on the deck, and he's a contractor. You know, he works with his hands a lot, and he goes, never heard him say anything like this before, ever, anything like it. I think he'd read one book. I think he read Harry Potter once. And he says to me, "Yeah, you know, I think I'm going to write a book." And I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah, yeah." And I was like, I think it's a little difficult." He goes, "Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to write a book." And I was like, "Cool, I think
yeah.
I'm going to build a house." And he was like, "Well, Mike, there's a lot more to it than just putting some wood together." And I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, have fun
Funny
with
you
that
should
book,
say
bud."
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, I'll tell you, it's very similar. Like, I think there's a lot of similarities that go across, like, we'll say, like, the content creation game in a way, where it's like, and it's one, dude, like there's things like, first off, let's talk about this, right? It's like you said, the social media comments and stuff like that. There's one thing that I had to learn while doing this show and being part of this process is that one thing, and I tell myself this all the time, is that don't be mad where good ideas come from, right? You can't be mad where good ideas come from.
Sure.
I
Yeah, I
might
like that.
not I might not most of the time I do not like who's telling me these things and I don't like how it's being said, but you can't be mad where a good idea comes from, right?
Hell yeah.
Second, to now that that's said, what was it like when you were getting negative feedback from your editor and from the people you let read the book? How did that go?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I'm very lucky in that most of the feedback that I've gotten has been more constructive than negative, and I can tell you, I can give you two anecdotes about that. When you are creating, as you're doing, you need to learn quickly how to decipher the difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism.
Agreed.
You get plenty of haters out there. You got
Yep.
plenty of people, you got plenty of like armchair experts who want to tell you
Yep.
how they would do it if they decided to do it,
Yeah.
and what they think is wrong with it. And that's one thing. And then you have some stuff where it's constructive. And sometimes constructive can be brutal.
Yeah.
Sometimes constructive can be really difficult. One of the struggles that I had when I went back to rewrite was dealing with the perspective. This is written in close third person perspective, which is different than traditional third person perspective. In third person perspective, you're saying that Matt is hosting the podcast, we're recording now, da 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 da. Whereas with a close third perspective, even though the narrator is still speaking about Matt, the narrator is also in Matt's head,
I
and
see.
it's limiting in a way because
Yeah.
while the narrator can say that Matt was interested in what the guest was saying, the narrator can't say Matt was interested in what the guest was saying, but JDub wasn't paying attention, or was thinking about his girl back home. Can't do
Right.
that kind of thing because it's a close third. You're basically telling the world what the character is thinking. So I had some issues with that, and it was tough,
Are
man,
you,
because
sorry to interrupt, but you're saying kind of like you can say what's in your mind, but you can't say what's in someone else's kind of thing.
yeah,
And the
essentially,
Okay, I
can't
see.
except
and the narrator doesn't like know the future. The narrator's narrating at real time.
the narrator only knows what the character that he is narrating knows.
Okay, so I interrupted. So keep going. So it can be
Yeah,
struggling for the close third person.
yeah. So that's how my story was written, and a lot of the editing was with that. And there was certain parts where I had to like gut and rework. And when I got
Yeah.
those notes, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's tough, but
Yeah.
also constructive. I mean, like it is what it is. You kind of got to go through it.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a big part of it. Another criticism that I got from the story, I think it's the only criticism that I've heard, both whether it was like in person or somebody saying something online, is they said that there's a romantic element to this story, and the note was that it was a little rushed and kind of came and went real quick. And
I mean, I know my romantic encounters do. Heyo, heyo,
boom.
yeah, yeah. Just kidding. I'm married. I don't have any romantic encounters,
um,
guys.
yeah, no. So I heard that, and I actually heard that from two people. And to be honest with you, I completely agree with them. The
Yeah.
thing about that is the romantic stuff is not something that particularly interests me a whole lot.
Right.
I'm an action driven person. I like to see,
Yeah.
like strife and
Yeah.
resilience, and like and kind of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. That's
Mhm.
my kind of story. So there was a romantic element that's in there that's addressed, but if you're somebody who's looking to read a romance novel, go find somebody else's book, because that's not what this is. Um,
Mhm.
Other than that, criticism and criticism's been pretty good for the most part. I pretty much wholly good. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback from it.
Nice. There is a ton. I mean, I feel like with the similarities in like the content creation game, you can't rule out everybody. And then there's different fads too. I mean, for you, I don't know if they're like So was length an issue for you? Because for us, when we first started doing this show, right, is that we would do, the episodes would all be, like the Tuesday show would be 2 hours, and then the Friday show would be an hour, right? So that's 3 hours of content a week. I'm asking people to listen to across multiple platforms, right? With like certain clips I can put out and things like that. But it's tough to produce 3 hours of quality content. So a lot of it
Sure.
was like filler and and like we were still working on honing our stuff. Where now it's like we want to do an hour on the Tuesday show, and we want to do right now they're like 15 to 20-minute episodes on the Friday show. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like we kind of changed up, but that was through demand of the platform or the medium, because everything needs to be faster, everything needs to be shorter. Our number one deterrent was our length of episode. For you, you're saying your book is 400 pages, right? Like, do you find that as a deterrent? Or like for me, like I'm an Audible guy, so if it's 400 pages, you're probably looking like a 19-hour book, maybe something like a 19-hour, maybe around there, right? Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but still, I
If
would
that's
love that.
single
That's kind
speed, maybe. Sure.
yeah, yeah, but that's kind of like I love that kind of like that's perfect because it's you can get it like you can use it and have it for a while and really get into it and really absorb it. And the same thing if it's like a 400-page book where like you can take your time and read it and absorb it and things like that. So I think it's because it's a different medium that it might be different. But were you getting any feedback on like the length needs to be short, it needs to be this needs to be short, like, or were you okay with keeping it a little longer and like leaving it as it is?
Well, conventional wisdom kind of puts different stories at different word count, depending on is it a mystery, is it a young adult, is it a
Yeah.
fantasy, is it a whatever. So that's the kind of the conventional wisdom, and they definitely give you, when you're reading the books and you're talking to the editors and you're speaking to people kind of in generalities about what you should be shooting for. They tell you, this is the word count you want. You want to try to be around 100,000 words or whatever.
Yeah.
But when my story was finished, um, don't get me wrong, we hacked away. I hacked away a decent, a good chunk, a good chunk. I'd say in total probably 20,000 words I took from it. But but it's all killer no filler, man.
Yeah.
There was so much in there that was necessary for the
Yeah.
story. And I think
Yeah.
the rule, I think your first rule with art, and the first rule is there are no rules. But if there was a
Yeah.
second one, the second one would be is don't get in the way of making your project what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It should absolutely be what it's supposed to be, and only you will know when that's done. And
Mhm.
for every time there's a rule set in place, there's somebody who breaks the rules and they show you why.
Yeah.
And so not that I'm claiming to be some literary great, but I'm an expert on this story right here. Like
Yeah.
for me that was it. Like that was what I wanted. That's what I wanted, and that's what I needed out of it. So that's what I got.
Yeah.
I got 419 pages, and
I love it.
and I'm okay with it. And
Dude.
from, like I said, I've had a lot of people tell me like I read this in 2 days. I read
Yeah.
it in 3 days, and
Mhm.
that's not something you do if it's like this long boring book, man. It
No.
moves.
No, God no. So that's a big testament to how good the writing is and how good the story is. And that's, dude, I love that you can do that, because I will say there is some parameters on this where like there's been times we've had to cut a show short because of time, and like like there's different kind of things we have to adapt to as far as like placating to cancel culture and things like that. Like we've had to
Sure.
eat some crow on that stuff. But I love that you can be true to your process and true to your story, and like really, really commit and stick with what you want, as far as like if it makes sense in the story and you like it, then you're gonna keep it. As far but but like you'll take editorial criticism here and there as far as like helping build the story. But
Yeah.
like it's still your story at the end of the day. I love that you were able to do that and you had that freedom to do that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I
So
was very lucky with that.
yeah, no, very much. So the process of getting the book done. So you go to the editor a couple times. You had some people read the rough draft. Like, dude, finishing a rough draft is an accomplishment in itself. You know what I mean? But the fact that you were able to finish the rough draft, get it to, so the editor does it. He comes back and forth, back and forth. You're dicing it up, you're fixing it, and then what's after that? Like after you're through with the editor of like, hey, I'm kind of happy with where it's at now. Where do you go from there? And how much? I mean, if you're willing to say, how much does it cost to get an editor?
It could be a couple $1,000s.
Okay, so it's
For
not
an editor.
astronomical.
It's not astronomical. It's a pretty penny. I
Yeah.
remember when that came around, I was like,
You say
dude,
worth it?
100%,
Okay.
worth it. But
So sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I mean, I remember when that bill first came due, it was like, dude, I'm not trying to be like a stock car racer, like I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
why are things expensive? Like I already have the laptop. What the hell? So
Yeah.
it costs, you got to invest in yourself. You have to invest
Yeah.
in yourself.
True.
You're not going to get anywhere if you don't.
Yeah.
So another thing I'll say is your book is not done until the very bitter end. I mean, you're making changes and all that stuff up to like, a week before this thing goes to print. So the whole like, is it,
What?
dude, I'm telling you.
Really?
And it's, and of course, when you get down to that point, it's a little bit of like minutia. It's
Right.
not anything crazy. You're not like, what if this character was a woman? You're not doing any of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're tweaking, man, and you're finding little
Yeah.
things, and you're elevating this and downgrading
Mhm.
that, and there's a lot
Mhm.
to it. So that it was not, this project's done, or this part of the project's done, let's move on to the next. It was kind of like you said before, let's get it to a point that it's satisfactory, that you can show people, to then continue to work on it with them together. So from there, there's a couple different ways to go about getting your book published. You can go the traditional route, which is finding an agent and finding a publisher from there. And in that regard, you're essentially, it's like you're applying to an Ivy League school, man. And you're going, and you gotta like undress your book. You gotta break it down to like a 2-page. You gotta break it down to a 2-page synopsis, which is
Mhm.
telling this 419-page book, telling that story in 2 pages. And like, you're not supposed to leave like, you're not telling it like the back of the book where you're ending it on a like, and will the character do this? No, no,
You
no.
have to summarize the
Yeah.
whole
You
beginning
tell
to
the
end.
whole story. So if I sent you this synopsis, it's the Cliff Notes. It's like the very,
Mhm.
bridged version of Cliff Notes. So you're doing
Yeah.
that. You're writing cover letters. You're kissing a lot of butt. You're doing that stuff.
So I bet.
And the other angle is the one that I eventually ended up going with, is you start looking at the indie guys, some of the smaller guys. I went with Atmosphere Press out of the Midwest, and
Ooh.
they're indie. They're a hybrid publisher, so they work with me to put it together. And the beauty of it is the book's mine. I didn't sell
Mhm.
it to anybody. It's
Mhm.
mine to do with what I want. And
Yeah.
Atmosphere has been awesome. They have a lot of really good tools. They have a lot of really good editors in their bullpen that really kind of walk you through everything and show you the ropes,
Yeah.
and tell you what you need. And it's been great.
Dude,
I
that's
I
awesome.
yeah. It's like I said, it's a grind. I'll say something, Matt, that I feel like you could probably relate to with your podcast.
Sure.
And kind of going back to my buddy who said that he wanted to write a book, and I was like, my advice to people who say that they want to do things, that they think they want to give these things a try. My response is like, you better know that you want to do it,
Yes.
because writing a book, in my experience, um, is 20% fun, 80% grind, and that 80% sucks. That
Yeah.
80% is a real freaking grind. It's
Yeah.
just that 20% makes it worth it. That
Yeah.
20% is so awesome that
Yeah.
you're willing to tolerate the 80%. And I think that's where a lot of people fall off. Like I said, when I
Yeah.
finished writing the rough draft, I heard people say like, okay, now the real work begins. And like, holy crap, that's true. But that's what I want to do. This is it.
Mhm.
Like I'm chasing that, and I forever will chase that. I got the sequel
Yeah.
to this book in the works right now, because it's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
Dude, that's incredible, man. I love that. So, okay, thank you for saying. Dude, I'll say that I do a lot of equate a lot of things to boxing and things like that, and like we do that. So there is a boxer who I'm a huge fan of, and he's a Philly guy. His name's Gabriel Rosado,
okay.
and You might recognize him if you ever saw the movie Creed, right?
Yeah.
He in the first Creed, he was the first guy. Like he was when Adonis comes to Philly, he fights that one guy at the Blue Horizon with like all the tattoos on his neck and stuff. That's Gabriel Rosado. He's an actual junior middleweight champion. Really,
Okay.
really, really cool guy, right? But he has
That's
a
awesome that he
saying.
was in that movie.
Yeah. Well, he was in that movie because he had won I guess like Danny Garcia was like the Philly kid at the time as far as like the biggest champ in Philly. But if there was a blood and guts warrior that represented what Philadelphia boxing was at the time, it was Gabriel Rosado after his fight with Triple G. But either way, so Gabriel Rosado was in the movie, loved the guy, and he has a saying about boxing. And the saying is, if you don't fucking love it, don't fucking do it, right? And as
Preach.
far as like when it comes to boxing, if you don't love fighting, then don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
That is the exact thing right there. It's not a half-ass game. So
Yeah.
I tell people this too. Like people come to me about like people the one thing that is cool about doing something like this is the ability to get others to think that they can do this and inspire them in a way to be like, like like give them a formula of success. Like we're figuring out a formula constantly, like Justin and I, as far as like, what we do and timing wise and editing and producing and
Sure.
promoting and like it's like a different formula you have to figure out. But we're figuring that out. We're able to provide that with people, for them to use, and this is kind of like a base formula of what to work with, right? But when it comes to people asking like why, like what's the deal is, I always tell people this. I was like, are you willing to put out 1,000 episodes? And I was like, if you're willing to do like, because there could be 1,000 episodes you have to put out before you get any monetization or anything like that, like easily 1,000 episodes, right? Before
Yeah.
anything like that happens. Are you willing to do that? Because if you're willing to do that, then yeah, then do it. But if not,
And that's
dude,
the move. Right.
then right, like then that's where you're gonna end up. And I agree with you as far as like there's another saying in boxing where we used to say fight night is the night off, right? Like all the training leads up to that. You know what I'm saying? Where fight night's your night off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you did all the work. That's kind of like the way this is for the show. Like the
It's
promoting, the
the
researching, the talk, like the discussion, everything. Like when we get to recording's the fun part. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's
Yep.
everything after this that's the work that goes into it. So I'm with you, and like you do have to sacrifice. Like I think about it all the time as far as like what would I sacrifice to make this like the biggest show in the world? And I look at things like Mr. Beast, right? And he's doing videos where he's living underground in a coffin for 7 days. And I'll tell you this, I love this show, but I'm not fucking doing that. For this to be the number one show. I'm sorry. But the fact that he's number one in the world, right? Because he's
Was he
willing
doing
to
that when he was getting that money?
well, dude, he's doing it now, right? Like he did, like
Yeah.
that was a recent video. But think about it, he has all this money. But if you look at him too, the kid's a genius. Like he started out, he had like a 1080p webcam and a laptop, and one of his first big videos is that he sang or listened to the Jake Paul song "It's Every Day, Bro" for like 24 hours straight, and that was one of his first big videos. Don't need a high production value for that,
Yeah.
right? Like you just need some, but like
Yep.
still, like
commitment.
something
Commitment.
like
Yep.
that, commitment, right? And like something like that, like that's the kind of like genius level stuff that
I was,
gets you to think. So,
I was gonna
but
say
as
that.
far, go
Yeah,
ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like the NFL players say, they're like, I play the games on Sunday for free. They pay me Monday through Saturday.
Yeah. Yep.
I make millions of dollars Monday through Saturday. On Sunday,
Right.
I play for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
You're
like people look at NFL kickers and it's like, oh, I'll get paid that much money to just kick the ball, 5 times in a night. And it's like, yeah, but would you do it when you were sacrificing every night of the week and your weekends and
Yeah.
you were watching what you eat and you were like
Yeah.
not eating your own birthday cake and you were, telling your girl you couldn't go out with her when they were doing that for years,
Mhm.
years without seeing anything for it. Would you do that?
Yeah.
Because that's what they did.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, dude. Yeah, it's what you're willing to sacrifice for success, I think, is a big thing. And you, it seems like sacrifice a lot. You put in your work and everything like this. I do want to talk more about the story a little bit, though. So I want to
Sure.
ask this. I want to ask, if you can, what is the main character's name And then if you have any other names you can give us from the book, and I want to know, how did you come up with these names? Because I'll tell you this, we're fascinated with name creation around here. We have, I know that your audience is maybe YA plus, but and like that's just the genre. I'm not saying it's you specifically, but I'm saying like that genre in a way, post-apocalyptic, can be YA plus at times, and maybe a little more. But I would say it's on the higher end though. Like it's it's the adult. It's the adult version of that more than the young. But as far as the name creation, when we have some other guests on here that a part of their job is coming up with a name that they have to use for their professional life. And there's a formula for it. And the formula is, it's your first name is the name of your first pet, and then your last name is the street you grew up on. So
what line of work are these guys in?
they're actresses and actors.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. The performers, good.
They're
hard-working
professional
ladies,
kind.
I'm sure.
They're hardest working ladies in showbiz. But yeah. No, so like for instance, my name would be Conrad Royal, and JDub's I think is Baron Hedgewood. Do you know what yours would be?
So is it the first name of your
your first name would be the name of your first pet, first ever pet, not even dog, like pet. And then the second is the street you grew up on.
Oh boy. This one doesn't work. It would be probably a turtle named Shy. So it would be Shy Gillum. Yeah, it doesn't really work. It sounds like like a Lord of the Rings character or something.
Dude, I was just gonna say that maybe it wouldn't work in the with the actresses, but dude, that name works. Shy Gillum, I like.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If we went with my second childhood home and the first pet since there, I could go. This might be a little better. Jack Green, right?
Okay.
That kind of works
like
a little better.
That one hit. Yeah, that one works.
All right. Yeah.
Nice.
Old
Jack
Green.
The old Jack
Green over here. All right. Yeah, doing a lot of Jack Green. All right. Either way, so okay, Mike. So name of some of the main characters, some of the other characters, and then how'd you come up with these names? Because I will say this, I love one of like our all-time ultimate guests that we want to get on the show, and hopefully eventually he'll come on. I mean, we've asked him enough, but his name is Sylvester Stallone. You ever heard of him?
Heard of him.
Right.
Yeah. He's the one who's chasing Tweety around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cat.
It's got
not a good house cat, but he's a cat.
and succotash.
Got a bit of a list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess so. But
he's scared as hell.
Yeah.
Dude, how good is him and Porky Pig and that scaredy cat one when they're in that motel? It doesn't get better than that.
Looney Tunes slap, man.
Oh, they're the best. But Stallone is a master of the name creation. You know what I'm saying? Like Rocky Balboa, Apollo Creed, Ivan Drago, John Rambo. Mackley Green, you son of a bitch.
He does have some really good names. You're right.
Great names, dude. Adonis Creed, Apollo Creed, like great names. We forget the one, the bad guy. Oprah. Phenomenal. Cobra.
Did you not know that Sylvester Stallone named Oprah Winfrey? Little known fact.
Oprah's mom's like, "You're right, Sylvester."
Yeah, thank you, little 2-year-old Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Okay. So
some of the names of the characters.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the backstory to a couple of them. The main character though, his name's Catch-It, spelled CATCH -it. And that one I'm saving for myself. That one's a little in secret there, but
Easter egg action.
Little Easter egg, sure. But moving forward, aside from that, there's a good cast of characters. Another main one is, her name's Penny, and fun story about Penny actually. When I wrote Penny, I wrote her because I needed a character to just be at a certain place at a certain time to do one little thing. I just needed a character who would press a button, and I needed to have a backstory for it. Well, as I started writing Penny's character, I absolutely fell in love with her, and she is in the top 2 of my favorite characters in the book. I mean, she as a character told me that she was planning on sticking around for more than that one scene, and she's awesome. She's a huge part of the story.
Wow.
So Penny was the name of my dog, is the name of one of my dogs, Penny. So
Nice.
that's kind of easy. There's 3 siblings in the story that are very important to the story. There's Jugger, Tink, and Oki. And
Jugger, Tink, and Oki?
And Oki. So the story behind these 3 characters is they're just all badass. That's just it. They're badass. And if you're thinking about messing with them, think again, because they'll just roll you hard. So Jugger is the older brother, and he's the biggest of them all. So Jugger's short for Juggernaut because he's just the freaking Juggernaut, baby. And
I love it.
He will just stampede through you without breaking a sweat.
I love that.
And the other 2, Tink and Oki. Tink is the middle, and she's the sister, and Oki's the younger brother. And to me, what was fun about them was because a big part of the story is about the relationship of siblings. I have a brother and sister. I love them very dearly, and the relationship that I had with them growing up was something that you can't get anywhere else. So despite the outside world looking at these 3 characters like they were just beasts, the way that they've come to refer to each other are like the pet names that you gave to each other, you gave to your siblings growing up. So Oki, who is now this like pot smoking hard ass who will just like who will, again, like his older brother, run you down. He's Oki because he was a little okie dokie kid that was tagging along with them when they were little. And Tink is their sister. She's this, cute, skinny little blonde with a pixie cut. And they call her Tink when they were 9 years old, and it stuck. So you got these 3 grown-ups who are just forces to be reckoned with, and people are having to call them the names they were given when they were like 3.
Oh, I love that, dude. I honestly, just from name association alone, I can picture these characters and really provide my own backstory just from name association. Like you're saying Juggernaut, right? I see he's the oldest. He's the sledgehammer. He's the one, like he runs the crew, I assume, as far as like he's the big boss, like, and he's the most protective out of all of them. And he's I love that. Then there's Tink, and Tink is like a sly fox, but almost like gives you a Tinkerbell kind of feel, right?
Cold hard bitch at the same time.
Yeah. Right. Makes you you love her, but she'll like rip your heart out and eat it in front of you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Sounds
Oki,
right to me.
And then Oki is just like, he's the badass, like the devil may care. Right. He's like, okay, whatever, just goes with the flow, but just to like kind of like get off the couch and kill you, like murder you, kind of like.
Dude, get off the couch and kill you is an awesome tagline for something. I don't know what, but I like it.
Hey,
and that's exactly it, man.
Get off the couch and kill you. That's okay.
You said it, dude. That's it. That's how it goes.
I love it, dude. He's kind of like, he's almost like Brad Pitt in Snatch. You know what I'm saying? Just like
movie.
Smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, doing whatever.
One hit punch, knockout.
Yeah, can brawl with the best of them. I love, dude. Name association alone, and I'm already in on these characters.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you whose
car we taking. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
Oki. That's Oki.
Yeah.
And he's modeled after my little brother. Griffin, who's, I say little, he's a grown ass man, but like that's
Griffin's
Griffin.
Badass name.
Griffin is, and he's a badass kid, man.
Wait,
I'll tell you, dude.
So got
honestly,
Mike and he got Griffin. I mean, what the?
Yeah,
fuck?
he wins.
Yeah. Like if my name's Matt and be like my little brother being named like Excalibur.
Yeah, Excalibur. This is Excalibur Lavelle.
Yeah. Is that? I mean, his name's Alex, and
that's cool too. That's fine. It's no Excalibur.
No, there's no. I mean, come on.
I gotta say, man, I'm not great with the name game. I sit with it. I sit with it, but it's just never been. Like you said, man, I write fast. The story's fast. It was like if the names
can't overthink it. It'll drive you nuts.
Yeah, and then like you also don't want those.
Forget it, baby.
You also don't want those characters that the name just sounds so contrived that every time you read it, you're like, "What is this?" Like, give me a break. This is Falkendorf. All right, come on.
Yeah. Jacob Beeblebrots, like, go eat a dick. Come on.
I'm a bartender at the Dutch Tavern in Skipback. Shout out Dutch Tavern. It's an awesome spot.
Listen to the show.
And I have my own signature shot there, and everyone loves it. But I'm not good at coming up with names, so it's just the Mike shot.
I mean,
I just, it's what it is. They're like,
so
couldn't you come up
someone
with
could come
something
up
better?
and
I'm like,
say,
somebody could.
someone could come and say, "Hey, give me 3 mics," and they know see, that's why it's the best. That's why it's the best.
It's beauty is its simplicity, right?
Yeah. Give me 3 mics, or maybe you can even like, dude, like how many different nicknames did you
All I
have for
need
like
is
an
one
eighth
mic.
of weed? Right?
Yeah.
Like
A
we
Mike,
used to
give me a
call
Mikey.
we used to call eighths Henrys. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because it'd be like Henry the Eighth, I am, like one of those. So we would call them Henrys, but like you have so much dumb shit. So like, and it's the evolution of it, where it's like it started off as the Mike shot, then it's a Mike, then it's a Mikey, then it's a Mickey. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, we do not
like,
serve Mickeys at the Dutch, to be clear. Just a public service announcement. No
yeah.
Mickeys sold at the Dutch.
You're not slipping any Mickeys in there? That's not
No.
okay.
No.
I thought it was a different type of place. Sorry. All right.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
You're
beer.
right. Yeah. That was a bad transition.
Gotta be careful there.
Yeah, what were you saying, Justin?
Oh no, you're talking about Rohypnol. I thought you were talking about the beer. Remember Mickey's beer, like the
No.
malt liquor came in
I
the
remember Mike's
green
Hard
glass.
Lemonade.
No, this is
No.
long. No.
The Mickey was actually a bartender in Chicago back during like Prohibition or whatever, and that was like his move. He'd give you a drink that just had some like heavy stuff in it, and then he'd rob you. His name was Mickey. Yeah.
So that's where slipping him a Mickey came from, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Putting a Mickey in his drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Damn, that's pretty crazy. Nice. So, okay. So, like we said, in the description of this episode, there's going to be a link to Mike's Instagram, MP Kid, author MP Kid Instagram. There'll be a link to Amazon where the book can be purchased. There'll be a link to barnesandnobles.com where the book can be purchased. And then, like we said, Instagram and Mike's website where you can follow Mike and see what he's got going on and get a heads up on maybe any up and coming works or an audio book that's, in the works, possibly, hopefully, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Your boy can't read, so I need the audio. Just saying. But either way, super excited for that stuff. But I want to keep it moving just a little bit. So if you can, Mike, I want to talk about, if we're able to, right?
Sure.
Like like you said, let's paint a little picture, guys. Come on, let's paint a little picture here. The year is 2020, right? January of 2020. We are on the cusp of a world crippling pandemic that we have no idea is coming, but it's right around the corner. And Mike here says, "Hey, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book like a man,
Yeah.
Right?" And he sets
like
out
my father
to write
and
this
his
book.
father before him. The Spanish flu broke out. The Black Plague broke out. I have a long family lineage of men who write books in pandemics.
During plagues.
Yeah. But either way, so yeah, yellow fever was monster for you guys. But no,
the Spanish flu.
God, that was a great
masterpiece.
Oh my God, some of your best work. But either way, okay. So you're setting up. Are you single at this time, or are you?
No. I had a lady. I had a lady who I still have.
Are you a Yoda? I had a lady
and we're getting married in May, actually.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, getting married to the coolest chick I know. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude. Congrats. Can we ask, how did you pop the question?
We went to what's that? Longwood Gardens over Christmas season last year, or what, 2022.
Okay.
So yeah, just dropped the knee. We were in like one of those tunnels that had like you walk through it and like the lights are coming at you.
Nice.
Come on. Dropped and did it there. I proposed. She said yes, and then I got up and we hugged, and then some stranger comes up and she's like, "Did you just propose?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then she just starts talking to us about like other stuff. I'm like, "Okay, bye. We're gonna go, live this fairy tale right now. If you don't mind, I don't know who you are." And she's like, "Oh my God, that's crazy. And wow, this garden is so nice." And like, wow, I'm like,
You know how much you pay per apple per pound here? It's not a better deal than the grocery store.
Where I can validate my parking? Oh my God, lady. Yeah. That was it.
You're going to spend the rest of your lives together. Do you know how much money you would save if you didn't buy your fruit here?
Yeah. And she's like, Mazel. Yeah, no, it's great. Man, that is so okay. That I mean, I'll tell you, I did it at the Morris Arboretum. So,
Same
you
kind of
know,
vibe. Yeah.
right. But I did mine. It was like spring, so there was probably like 200 people there, and in the middle of this place. I think it's called like the Bride's Garden or something like that. But it's like a big part of the arboretum. So like everyone's there, and like I told my now wife that we were meeting my mom there, and I was like, she's like, "Where's your mom? I don't see her." And in my mind, I'm like, "Ah, fuck, all right, I guess I could do it in front of all these people, you know?" So I just like put my hand up and I yelled. I was like, "Hello, everyone. If you wouldn't mind, I'm about to propose to the love of my life." Right. And like yelled it. And she turned around. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I just got down on one knee.
I just said.
Yeah. I was like, weren't you listening? Yeah. Got down on one knee, popped the question. I had a friend hiding in the bushes that was videotaping it. And,
Nice.
and she said maybe, but I told everyone she said yes. And then,
And she fell
6
for it.
years later.
She said, "I won't make a scene if you just stop bothering me right now, and I'll answer you when we get to the car."
Yeah. She's like, I won't embarrass you now, but just wait till they get to the car. Yeah.
If you
Yes.
if you just pull the barrel away from my spleen, I promise you I'll give you an answer.
Yeah. And then the 100 times since then that she's told me that she wished she would have said no. I mean, she can take all those too. But either way, that's
Divorce is
marriage,
expensive.
Mike. Get used to it, bub. But no, that's dude. Happy for you, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, dude. Me too.
Are you planning on having any kids or anything?
Oh yeah. I told her, as soon as the ring goes on, I'm like, just get ready to be pregnant for the rest of your life.
7 years, 7 kids.
We're just yep.
How many do you want? I mean, once this gets picked up by HBO, I'm sure you can afford as many kids as you want. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up Irish Catholic, so even though there's only 3 of us, I think that I have to try for like 7.
Yeah,
it's in
7.
you.
Yeah, Irish Catholic 7.
See what's happened. I know. Yeah, nobody talks about how hard it is for the guy to conceive, and it's just it's going to be a chore. It's going to be a chore conceiving 7 children.
Our grandfathers would conceive 15 and maybe get 7. Lord willing.
Yeah,
they conceive 10 and get 6.
Yeah,
my dad,
they wait till you're 10 to name you.
Like,
all right.
He's like, I'm not sure yet. That one looks weak. He doesn't drink a lot of milk. I don't think he's gonna make it.
This one was gonna be dead by the time I was writing this book at the Spanish flu.
This one doesn't like baseball. I don't think he's gonna make it.
He's not gonna survive polio this one, so I don't know what's the point. But
can we give this one polio? He's not gonna make it.
If he gets polio, he'll give the other ones polio, and then the strong ones will live.
Yeah, no, I have
that's one way to go.
And I have one kid, and I've told my wife that like if I could afford it, I would have a ton. I was one of 4, but we always had like
I don't want to tell you a secret.
I mean,
but people have kids that they can't afford all the time. You can just have 12 kids.
I know that.
Do it.
Right?
You can just do it.
They start working. They start paying the bills.
Hey, newsflash! I was one of the kids that my parents couldn't afford.
I know, yeah, it's a nightmare, but you can do it.
I don't want to do that again, But I would say, if I would like to. I've told my wife I was like, I'd love to have like 6 kids, but it's just because I remember at my house coming up, there was just always people there, and it was the best. You know what I mean? Like legit, we had tons of people that like lived with us too, like grandparents and aunts and uncles all the time.
Strangers.
Yeah, like strangers in the night, just all the time, renting a room, living in the basement, all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah,
but
man.
it was fun. Justin here was one of 12, which was cool. But
is that right?
I have 6. I have 3 older brothers, 3 younger brothers. And at one point in time, there was 5 of us in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom.
Yeah.
Not including parents and dogs and cats.
Jeez. Yeah, throw the dogs and cats in there. Why not?
Dude, there was enough hot water for 1 person. And 7 people would try and shower every morning. It was just a full Royal Rumble every morning.
Nice.
Justin told a story recently of how his stepdad would wake up at 5 a.m., go drop a huge heater, and just leave it in there, not flush, and just
that's a power move right there.
Huge heater and 1 Marlboro Red in the toilet.
Toilet paper. Turd, cigarette butt, no toilet paper, window open, 40 degrees. So like I get up, I go in, it's freezing. I look in the bowl and I'm just like, what is this? Like, is this is he like marking his territory? Like I feel like he's fucking with me, like psychologically. Like, like he's doing this on purpose.
Power move, man.
Yeah,
like
100%.
First off,
I'm a big fan of the move.
Yeah, it's a
and you said he was your stepdad, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going for
knew what he was doing.
Love. Yeah.
He knew that really one of the kids would find it before my mom would, and he'd be like, "I'm just gonna leave this here, like say something."
Yeah. See how big of a man you really are. So, all right, I'll say this, Mike, that Justin and I are usually on the same page with this, but we would.
I have a list of
questions.
questions.
All right, fine. It's
Try
now
to
time
get you
for
out of it. I have a list of questions for you.
All right, you fucking twaddle. Okay, Mike.
We'll make them inappropriate.
It's now time for everyone's favorite segment. It's now time for the JDub's question segment. In this segment, Justin will be asking you questions, and you can provide answers if you so choose. Justin, take it away.
First up, Shy Gilliam's a great name. How good is Hamburger Helper?
So good. So good. Yeah.
The best.
Yeah. That's not a question, right?
No, I mean, it's just, that's it. That is the question.
Do you guys
classic
remember...
cheeseburger and stroganoff? No matter which direction you go, German.
Dude, they used to have like a hash brown one. I can't find it, but it was like ground beef with like hash browns and some kind of sauce on it, and it was fire, man. It was fire. I can't find it.
Did you guys ever have at Wawa? They used to have a thing called mac and beef.
It was macaroni noodles and like ground beef.
Yeah, dude, and with like a kind of like sauce. Like a tangy red sauce. Yeah, dude.
Good for you. Yeah.
Oh, it was the absolute best. It was the best, dude. And they never have it anymore. And I'm like, I don't know if they got rid of it or something, but Wawa, we know you're listening. Fan of the show, listen to the show. Please bring it back. Justin, great first question. Love Hamburger Helper.
In the best of times and the worst of times, tuna helper. Not that bad.
Okay.
You'll survive.
Under consideration. Sure.
You doing
some
milk
hot
with
sauce, you'll survive.
You doing milk with dinner as a kid?
Still do milk with dinner. My fiance makes fun of me for it.
What?
Dude,
Can you do milk with dinner, Matt?
No, God, no.
Not
you
all right.
Didn't do it, or you can't. The Lord took it away from me, Mike. If I could, I would do 2 glasses of whole milk every night with dinner.
Yeah,
the Lord took it from me. I did something wrong.
So not every dinner, but like spaghetti.
Spaghetti, hamburger helper, glass of milk,
100%.
meatloaf, glass of milk. My girl made pot roast and mashed potatoes the other night, and it was so good. And the only thing that I thought was, I could just have a nice cold glass of whole milk with this, I would rest easy. But the Lord took it from me.
We used to do this thing. We used to do this thing.
We all have our cross to carry.
We used to do this thing in my family coming up. Is that we would always have milk with dinner, and we would have like peas a lot. At dinner, like you'd have like whatever and like whatever peas and whatever. And my dad would always put peas, like a pea, in everybo's milk, just to fuck with them, right?
You guys, you guys had some dads, man. You guys had some dads with some shit to prove.
Yeah, for sure. They're not all great stories like that, Mike. But
they also like fighting.
Yeah, if you go back to, I think it was episode 8, the Alex Lavelle Part 1 experience, it made Justin cry. It made a bunch. That was one, I tell you, that I got a lot of personal comments from that episode.
Yeah, we got to bring that back. We got to start talking about more parental abuse. Yo, it's fun.
Yeah, man, it's great. But
Mike, what's your
so peas in the milk? Go ahead, Justin.
Mike, what's your drink of choice if you go to like a bar?
Right now I'm sipping on some Woodford Reserve. I love me some good bourbon.
Ooh.
I tell people I'm a crappy beer and good whiskey guy.
Okay, what's your crappy beer?
Like Coors Light, man. Coors Light's good.
I like the MK Ultras. I've been doing them recently.
They're okay.
Did you ever put a lemon in the MK Ultra?
I had somebody make fun of me the other day because I was drinking a Coors Light as he was drinking a Miller Light.
Right.
I was like, dude, I'm not saying this is the best beer in the world, but like, you're telling me that like horse piss tastes better than cat piss right now. Like, get out of here.
We're not far away from each other. Don't act like we're living blocks away
right now. I mean, I would say Bud Light's better than both of them, but that's just me.
Okay.
Matt's trans.
Right. Also, to be fair, I haven't had a drink since 2019, so
that's why I said.
God bless you. Hey,
it's not for any reason. I don't have an issue or anything. I'm just too fucking tired.
That's a good reason.
I have a kid.
I don't hate fun or nothing.
Yeah, I heard you say before you don't like drinking in front of your kid and all that stuff. You're taking
that's a good point.
Yeah,
I don't drink in front of my kid.
Good on you, man.
Yeah, man. What are you gonna do?
Mike, any broken bones or any surgeries?
No broken bones. No,
You have
like real.
tonsils? That's a surgery.
I think I got my tonsils. I got my wisdom teeth. I like split my leg open when I
Even
was a
wisdom
kid.
teeth?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I
Well,
don't
damn,
remember
I got
this
a
now.
wisdom teeth taken out. Does that mean I guess I've had surgery?
Were you
Guys,
put to
hey!
sleep?
Yeah, I was out like, dude, I remember being there and like, cause I had a root canal where like the Novocaine didn't take, and it was legit probably the most painful experience of my life. And like, I told like the dentist guy who was gonna do the surgery, I was like, hey man, just so you know, I was like, please don't. I do not want to wake up during this because like the Novocaine thing and whatever. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Start counting to 10, and I'll see you in 5 hours. And I'm like, what? 3? And I was out.
Yeah, that's pretty good because I've thought about this concept before. Like, I had to have my appendix taken out when I was 13, which, like, if I was born in the 16th century, means I would have died at 13. If you like need glasses and were born in like the 12th century, they just would have thought you were special needs. Like,
Yeah,
they'd just be
yeah.
like, "What's wrong with you?" So, like,
Right.
no surgeries, no broken bones. You would have made it pretty far, no matter what.
Yeah,
time.
I mean, I got a
they
bunch
would
of.
have hired you
I
as
got
the village
stitches,
priest.
but yeah,
I mean,
just
that's
stitches.
everybody though.
Yeah,
Would you
You
trade
didn't
a
have
finger?
stitches. You didn't live in the 90s.
Well, yeah,
Go ahead,
I mean,
Justin.
very true.
Would you trade a finger for $300,000?
Do I get to pick the finger?
Yeah.
300?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cash
Yeah.
after taxes.
Why not?
You still getting taxed?
No,
And
no,
I
but
got- no,
after
after
taxes, you
taxes.
get 300.
So
Yeah.
you clear 300.
Yeah,
Okay.
you clear 300. Like,
Yeah.
you get 300 deposited into your account. Nobody bothers you about
and
it.
what finger are you getting rid of, Mike?
I guess
pinky.
like probably pinky on my right hand. I'm a lefty, so I'll go pinky
So-
on the
Oh,
right.
pinky on the right.
Everyone would say pinky. I would
The
say
only thing
Right.
it's gonna mess up is your batting. That's your bottom hand. It's gonna mess up your swing a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, well, his
Other than
softball
that-
team's crushed.
I feel like, yeah,
Well,
non-dominant pinky.
Yeah. Yeah.
See ya.
See you,
Yeah.
pinky.
It's an
I
easy.
hardly
That's an easy
cared.
one. I might do that for. I'd do that for less probably.
You're looking at
100
$12.50.
You do it for $90,000?
I'd say it'd have to be six figures. I'd have to see.
You want to
110.
at least be able to pay off your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd give
Yeah.
a finger for 110. Yeah,
I would, dude.
90.
I'd give a finger for someone to pay off my mortgage. I'll tell you that.
Again, we're talking pinky.
Yeah.
Or whatever finger you want. But yeah,
I got a buddy who lost a finger in like one of them old like basketball hoops that you like got in your backyard, like like you could like adjust the height
yeah.
and had like a little hole in it. Stuck his finger in there, shoo, like a guillotine.
The
Took it
hole
off.
that you put the thing in that locks it.
Yeah.
He put his finger in there.
Yep. And it's gone. Yeah. Pinky.
That holds the
right?
whole
I think it's
weight
just
of
pinky.
the rim and everything.
Yeah, dude. It
It's-
wasn't even a question. It was just gone. It was
It's
just-
like a
Why do
gone.
you do it?
It's like this thick of an Allen wrench
I don't
that's
know.
supposed to go in there.
I don't know.
Also,
You're a
those
kid, you
things
put
are
your
usually
fingers and everything.
they're
Yeah.
usually cemented into the ground, so the pinky's probably the bone is still in the hoop.
You know,
like,
if you're his
there.
dad, you're like, do we get it or do we just
I mean,
leave
there's
it?
by the
Right.
time you got it, it's not like it's going to be any good. But wow, how old was
Yeah.
this kid?
I don't know. He was a kid.
Is he
He was
still
a kid.
alive?
Yeah, he's one of my good buddies. Yeah, he's
Wow,
he's
survived,
and he's
he
doing
still made it.
he's doing fine. He's doing okay.
Man,
Yeah, but
that's tough.
I
That's
think
tough.
part of being a kid, a dude, a boy growing up in the 90s is like you just learn the hard way. There's no
Yeah.
other way to learn, right?
Oh,
Gotta put your fingers in
dude.
holes.
Don't put your finger in there. Why? Because of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I will say this. There is a big difference between like I see it now, especially with like young kids. So my daughter's 4, right? And there's a bunch of kids in our neighborhood, and like there's little boys and little girls and stuff. And as far as like athletically, the boys are more advanced, right? Like they can catch a ball better, they can hit a ball better, they're running better, they're climbing better. Like there are like those kind of like little like aesthetic things like they're naturally just better at. But the other day we were outside and my daughter's like doing something like a princess thing or whatever, using her imagination, having fun. And then there's another little boy there who's just running into the tree. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And honestly, the first thought I was like, that looks like a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I was like, I get where this kid's coming from. You know, I was like, I'll run into a tree. Come on.
He is
You know?
learning. He is learning right there.
He's learning.
He's learning important things.
Yeah. And
That's the
then until his
boundaries.
clavicle breaks and he's like,
And then
"All right,
forgetting
that
them.
tree-" Yeah. That tree won. But no.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. Where it's like I agree. In the '90s, there's a lot of hard learning in the '90s.
Yeah, man.
I have two
Remember
questions
biker
left.
gangs?
Hit me.
I miss biker gangs in the '90s. As far as
Like
like when I say
motorcycle
biker
gangs?
gangs, no, I mean like we'll never see a group of 20 kids on their Haros
Like
and their
bicycle
red
gangs.
lines riding around your neighborhood anymore. You'll never
Yeah.
see that again. And
Huffies.
that was,
Yeah.
dude, that was
Baseball
the
cards attached to
best.
the spokes.
Dude, you
Yeah.
had tennis balls in the spokes. Did you do
Kid,
that?
like
We did the
kid
tennis
brother
balls in the
riding on the
spokes.
pegs.
Yep, you had the pegs. Oh, dude, I had the best
Pegs
pair of
and
Haro
front.
pegs. That's some
Front and back.
Haros.
That was a flex, man.
Haro. Dude, I had the Haro. I had the gyro. Dude, I had it all, man. My bike, though, got made fun of. They called it the retarded uncle. It was a Royce Union.
I remember
The
this.
Sears Special. Yep, the Sears Special. Go ahead.
Are you more afraid of dragons or giants?
I mean, I feel like
Have you
dragon,
seen
right?
Game of Thrones? Because
I
the
have
dragon is a giant. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
I gotta go dragon on that one. I feel
Hell
like a
yeah,
giant,
they breathe fire.
and the giants are like moving slow. I feel like you kind
Yeah.
of see them coming, and
Fear of giant people.
Have you heard of the Solomon Islands?
I have not. Are the giants there?
Oh yeah. So apparently in World War II, it's like these islands off of Japan. There's these place called the Solomon Islands, and
This is
there's
where like
like
Godzilla came from?
no, I don't know. But there's like documented like they found like skeletons of men that are like 15 feet high, like 15 feet tall, and things like that. And then there was like when the Japanese went to take over the island, they were in like the woods and stuff. And then the Americans came and the Japanese were surrendering, which the Japanese never did. They would die
Right.
before surrender. That was like their thing. But they were like running from these like tall giants that were in the Solomon Woods that were legit were coming up
What?
to them, ripping them apart and eating them. Yeah, dude, some they were like 15 feet tall, some were like 20 feet tall. Dude,
Sounds
yeah.
legit.
Look up
Sounds
the
legit.
Solomon Islands. I'm telling you.
Big
There's
on
some
giants.
giants there, babe. Giants.
Yeah, giants,
Excellent.
dragons over giants, man. I'll take
Big
a
time.
giant.
And dragons are
Big
cool.
time.
Everybody has dragons, like in their
And if you can train one, you can fly
which is
one.
cool.
Is there an argument for giants over dragons?
Just it'd be so scary to see a giant. Like I'm talking like Attack on Titan size giant. Like if you saw
Yeah,
like
like
a
a big.
300-foot dude just like start you like that's because it would be half like I'd be afraid of it, and the other half I'd be just so jealous that I wasn't a giant. Like that's the whole Jedi like superhero concept. Is like if mutant, like I'm still mad that I didn't get powers at 13.
Dude.
That like if other people are getting powers, I'd be that dude who would blow up the moon.
Can I tell you right now? In my book, in my about me, that's what I talk about about not getting my powers and how I'm bent out of shape about it.
That's all.
So,
I'm mad that
I'm
my
glad that you
dog
said
died
that.
when I was
That is in
14, and
there.
I'm mad I didn't get powers at puberty. And
You're like
I'm just-
13. You're like,
oh, every time I'm just still trying to get blades to come out of my knuckles.
yeah, jumping off the shed. Like, nah, still falling to the ground.
I can't bamf. I can't make things come into my hands when I'm tired.
Oh, I love a good bamf. I love a good bamf. So, all
right.
right, keep going, Justin.
Last question. Do you have any questions for me?
I wasn't prepared. No. How do you maintain that awesome hairline you got?
The top of my head?
You look at that hairline. You got the hairline of a 5-year-old. God bless you.
I got the
Do
what's
you have
his
a
name?
widow's peak? Is that
Yeah.
a widow's peak?
Well,
Kill it. I'd kill
what's
it.
the Wolfman? I just had the guy
What, hold
shave
on.
it.
Who's the what man, Justin?
The kid from the Munsters, Eddie.
No, please say it
Munster.
again. Please say it again. The what man?
Eddie Munster. He's a Wolfman.
No. The what?
Wolf.
Wolfman.
Think you're
Wolfman.
I
forgetting
believe
an
there's
L.
an L in the word wolf.
I don't think so. Library, Wolfman, Popeyes.
I don't. Are you talking about a dog man because he goes woof woof?
The
Oh,
Wolfman.
like woof woof, like a dog, like the
The
sound a
wolf
dog
man?
makes. Or a wolf man. The
Wolfman.
wolf man. That's part wolf, not woof.
It should be
Wolf.
Wolf Man, though. It should be Wolf.
I don't feel
Mike,
wrong.
don't encourage this.
It
Don't
makes more sense.
Don't even talk about Popeyes in front of this guy. Okay.
What's the deal with
Popeyes.
Popeyes?
Popeyes.
Don't.
Popeyes chicken restaurant. Popeyes. That's how it's pronounced.
No,
Popeyes. Utz. Potato
No,
chips.
it's not. And it's Utz.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
Utz.
Utz.
It's
It's
Utz.
German. It's Utz.
Says who?
Just the Germans. I don't know. I didn't make it up.
How many
Thanks, brother.
Germans? I mean, they say Utz in the commercial.
It's Utz.
I hate when you guys
You're
fight.
nuts.
Yeah, you're upset.
I hate watching you guys fight.
Nobody wins when the family feuds.
That's all I got
Speaking
for
of,
you, man.
I mean, yeah, no. Family Feud, touchy subject on this show. Shout out Steve Harvey, though. Cat Williams came for that and throat. But either way. So let's keep it on moving on. Keep it on moving down the road. Like I said, Mike, I mean, Justin and I are on the same page for this. We'd love to have you back on if you'd be willing to come back on the show.
I would love to, man. You guys was awesome. You guys are great.
This was so much fun, dude.
Like,
We had a
I haven't
whole
read-
thing. Yeah,
I haven't
go
read
ahead,
a
Justin.
book since The Hatchet, and I'm willing to read your book, and then you can come
Yeah.
back and we'll talk about it.
Dude,
Oh,
let's
I would
do it,
love
man.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a
I would
sesh.
love that. No, dude,
Yeah,
I
for
would.
sure.
I would.
I'm
Dude,
down.
I was thinking
I
the
bet
same thing. I was.
Yeah, Liam does the comic book show. I bet he.
Oh,
like,
dude,
this is
Liam,
right up his
Liam
alley.
and Burn, they would eat this book alive. They would absolutely love it. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
no, nice. And then once the audio version comes out, and then
Matt will actually do it.
'cause I can't read it, so either way. But no,
Maybe
we are
JW,
coming
you
towards-
could read to him.
know?
I just call you every night, Matt.
What if I
He's
did?
laying in bed.
We
So-
had
Those are pictures. Again, look at the pictures. Read the next page.
we had a year ago. We had a guy, literally Justin. A year ago, we had Chad Marks on the show. A year ago, you believe that? How crazy is that? But we had a guy named Chad Marks on the show a year ago. He's an ex-con who did like 18 years in a federal penitentiary and was released for good behavior. Like, he has a crazy story, but he also wrote a book, and he did an audio book on YouTube where he has like a bunch of videos where he read like a couple chapters at a time. I mean, some people have said I have the voice of an angelic angel. So if you would want me to, I could read aloud your book online. But
I'll take
you
that
know,
into consideration.
Yeah. You know, you've
By
heard the
read
voice.
aloud,
I'm
you're
just
like,
saying.
someone will read it to him, and then he'll repeat.
Then he'll repeat
what
it
Right.
out
I
loud.
will pay
On a
someone to
recording.
read it for me. is
Just
what I
like
meant to
line,
say. Yeah.
line every 10 seconds.
Okay, so we're coming towards top of time. Like I said, in the description of this episode, we will have a link to Mike, aka the author, MP Kids Instagram. We have a link to where you can get They're Not Here to Save Us on Amazon. We'll have a link to barnesandnobles.com where you can get the book there. We'll have a link to Mike's website. Mike, is there anything you want to say to your legions of adoring fans before we get out of here?
Guys, thanks for having me. I should be doing a signing at the Barnes & Noble in Plymouth meeting on January 20th. That's a Saturday. So
Nice.
stay tuned. Hit my my
Okay,
socials and
right by
stuff
my
like
house.
that. I'll keep you guys updated about it.
Yeah.
I'll be
That'll
Happy to see you there, bud.
Yeah, I'll
So,
come.
yeah, we're recording on, or this should air. I mean, yeah. So for those listening, that'll be this upcoming Saturday, the 20th.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, hit my socials. I'll keep everybody up to date on the time and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, man, dude. Awesome. Yep. Nice. Very cool. JDub, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I'm gonna buy a book.
Do
I
it.
haven't bought a book in so long.
Do it. There's
Yeah, I
a 10
can't
book
tell you.
minimum actually. So
I have to buy 10 of them.
nah, for you, I'll cut a deal. You can have one.
Is this a joke? What? I was like, I haven't bought a book in a long time. I don't know how books work.
That was a great joke. How many times you thrown that one out there, huh, Mike?
Once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an industry standard. So, well, speaking of industry standard, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, coming today by the one and only JDub, Justin Richardson, and our guest today is the man, the myth, the legend himself, the one and only MP Kid, aka Mike Kid. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us on Twitter and TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workperspectives@gmail.com. And please like, subscribe so we keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Thanks for listening, and make sure you get this book. Thanks. See you.